Welcome to Fighting Stats, the ultimate channel for MMA fans who love statistics and betting breakdowns. I'm your host, Art C, and I'm here to get you ready for the upcoming UFC fights. In this series, I'll be watching tape and providing my real time analysis on how I think the fights are going to go. I'll be watching for fighters' strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, and overall strategies, pairing that with Fighting Stats' exclusive UFC stats not available anywhere else to give you a prediction on how I think the fights are going to go and ultimately who's going to win. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Fighting Stats. Welcome back to Fighting Stats. I'm your host, Art C, and today we are breaking down the UFC Vegas main event between Nassourdine Imavov and Roman Dolidze. We have finished all of the Roman Dolidze fight tape. We have finished the Nassourdine Imavov fight tape, so I'm here to get you a breakdown. How it will work is I'm going to do a deep dive into the fighting stats here, see what the stats tell us. I'm going to give you a breakdown of how I see the fight playing out, and then I'll go into our tracker here. I'm going to try to guess where the lines are going to open up, where the prop lines open up, and that will tell us where our best bets will be. So let's get it started. You guys are not going to want to miss this. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start with Roman Dolidze here on the blue side. Nassourdine Imavov is going to be on the red side here. So Roman Dolidze, Roman Dolidze is 6-2 in the UFC. 67% of his wins coming by TKO. 33% of his wins coming from decision. Two losses, both of them coming from decision there. On the Nassourdine Imavov side, 4-2 in the UFC. 50% of his wins by TKO. 50% of his wins by decision, and losses in by decision as well there. So looks like Imavov is going to have 1 inch of height. Dolidze is going to have 1 inch of reach advantage. So let's get into the Roman Dolidze offensive striking here. 78% of Roman Dolidze's strikes are going to be at a distance, 10% of them are going to be in the clinch, and 12% on the ground. When he is targeting, he goes to the head 80% of the time, 12% to the body, and 8% to the legs there. Dolidze's striking accuracy, head striking accuracy 36%, 59% towards the body, and 96% leg strike accuracy. Not bad. Dolidze's average strikes by round, so strikes thrown by round 30, 30, and 38, landing about 13, 13, and 17. He does have 4 knockdowns, all of them coming in round number 1. So head strikes as well tends to go up there as well, a little bit as well. So we talked about those knockdowns there. He does have a knockdown against Phil Hawes, 2 against Kyle Dawkins, and then 1 against Ibragimov in his UFC debut. Overall, significant strike accuracy at 44%. I did want to highlight some of these these leg strikes landed. So we started the fight tape here around the Trevin Giles fight, going to the legs early against Trevin Giles, landing 10 in round 1, 2 in round 2, and 3 in round 3. Then he seems to fall off and not really throw any here. Against Staropoli, really only landing 3 in round 3, 2 in round 1. Only threw 1 against Phil Hawes there, and throwing basically 8 against Marvin Vettori. So early in the tape, we did see a lot of leg kicks, and I will bring that up later. But more recently, we haven't seen a lot of Roman Dolidze's leg kicks. He was a soccer player for a little bit, especially a goalie. So you would expect him to be able to know how to kick pretty hard. So worth noting there. So Dolidze's defensive striking, 89% of his strikes landed against have been at a distance, 6% in the clinch, and 5% on the ground. When he does eat some shots, 72% of his shots eaten have been to the head, 12% to the body, and 16% to the legs. Defensive striking accuracy, 32% to the head, 61% to the body, and 92% leg strike defense. Does take some leg kicks there. So average strikes absorbed by rounds for Dolidze. Looks like he eats about 13, 15, and 15 as the rounds go on. So volume does pick up a little bit in rounds 2 and 3. And then absorbed by round, again, 28, 34, and 33 strikes absorbed thrown by round. Has not been knocked down in his UFC career. Worth noting. Definitely his chin has been on display from what we've seen. So definitely a good look there. So overall, 40% striking defense as well, and then looks to eat a lot of leg kicks. Honestly, it looks like Marvin Vettori racked up the leg kick numbers there. 24, 30, almost 45 leg kick strikes, more than 45 leg kick strikes there for Marvin Vettori, and then so worth noting as well. So Nassourdine Imavov in the red side, his advanced striking numbers here. So 72% of his strikes from a distance, 18% of them in the clinch, and 9% of them on the ground. His target breakdown, 78% of his shots going towards the head, 15% towards the body, and 7% to the legs. Decent striking accuracy, 45% of his shots towards the head are landing. 79% towards the body and 85% towards the legs. This one I found interesting. Significant strikes thrown and landed by round. You can see his output actually increasing round over round. So throwing 32 strikes in round 1, 42 in round 2, 47 in round 3, 51 in round 4, and 65 in round 5. So definitely looks like his pace sort of picks up as the rounds go on. Does not have any knockdowns, but his strikes landed also go up there. Looks like he does, obviously, as the strikes go up, his head accuracy also goes up there. Looks like he tails off a little bit in terms of the leg strikes in round 5. I did want to highlight his leg kicks here, landing 14 in round 1 against Chris Curtis, 8 in round 2 against Chris Curtis there. We just talked about how Dolidze does eat some low kicks there as well, so that's going to be a factor. Overall, Nassourdine Imavov, 54% striking offense, again, has no knockdowns against, and likes to stand in the at a distance there. Defensive striking here. 92% of the shots against Imavov have been at a distance, 7% in the clinch, and only 1% on the ground. So worth noting that doesn't take a lot of damage on the ground. Head striking or target against, 78% of his target against is towards the head, 12% towards the body, and 10% towards the leg. Head defense striking not bad at 32%, 65% towards the body, and 84% defensive striking towards the leg. So again, not really big leg kicker or leg checker as well, landing that. So here's an interesting one. Average strikes absorbed by rounds. Just how we talked about his output increases by round, so does the strikes absorbed. He's actually absorbing 36 in round 1, 32 in round 2. This is thrown at him. 56 in round 3, and then 100 strikes in round 4, 81 in round 5. And that, again, lands, eats big shots there in rounds 4 as well. Looks like his head targets dropped a little bit in terms of when he's being attacked. It drops off a little bit as well. So 0 knockdowns as well. So between both fighters, I don't think there was any knockdowns on either side of the coin, both offensively and defensively. Significant strike defense, again, 42% there. And then again, the leg kicks there, he does seem to take a little bit of a leg kick damage, about 14 there against Chris Curtis. Even Sean Strickland landing a couple of leg kicks, and Sean Strickland's not really a leg kicker as well. Let's moving on to the detailed grappling. I don't know. If Roman Dolidze has his way, there will be some grappling. So let's go into the numbers here. Offensive grappling for Roman Dolidze. He does take down. He takes 0.5 takedown attempts in round number 1, 1 takedown attempt in round number 2, and 2 attempts in round number 3. However, the takedown success does drop off in round 3. So 0.6 in round 1, 0.8 in round 2, and only 0.3 in round 3. So he does shoot more takedowns in round 3, but not as successful as rounds 1 and 2. He does have a couple of submission attempts, averaging 0.6 in round 1, 0.6 in round 2, and 0.3 in round 3, in addition to his reversals there. Control time going up by round as well. So let's see here. Roman, sorry, back that up. Roman Dolidze does have 4 knockdowns. I missed that here. So in his UFC career, Roman Dolidze has attempted 18 takedowns. 9 of them have been successful for a 50% takedown accuracy. Decent control time, honestly. Some control time early in his career there. 400 seconds against John Allen there. Close to about 250 against Trevin Giles. Staropoli almost 600 seconds of control time, and then it falls off there against Jack Hermanson, Marvin Vittori. Those guys difficult to hold on to, so understandable there. Jack Hermanson got him in that nasty calf slicer. Very fun to watch there. So defensive grappling, I'm not going to go much into the Roman Dolidze defensive grappling. I'll just highlight that he's seen 12 takedown attempts. 8 of them have been successful. His takedown defense, not the greatest. We've seen him taken down a lot. I think it's more because he's comfortable on the ground, so he's not really used to guys trying to take him down. So worth noting there. And the reason that I'm skipping over it is because Nassourdine Imavov is not really looking for many takedowns as well. It really depends on the matchup here, averaging 1.4 takedowns in round 1, 0.7 in round 2, 1.8 in round 3, and then not any in rounds 4 or 5. Over his UFC career, has attempted 22 takedowns. 7 of them have been successful. I just think based on the type of matchup here, again, Nassourdine Imavov has 4 takedown attempts against Chris Curtis, which is more of a striker. 3 of them have been successive. Joaquin Buckley, again, 7 takedown attempts, 2 of them being successful against Joaquin Buckley, who is also a striker. Shabazian didn't really attempt much there. Heinisch, 1 attempt for 1. So Nassourdine Imavov honestly hasn't faced many great grapplers. Shabazian probably being the best there, but more scrambling. So I'm curious to see his defensive grappling. Again, against the numbers or the fighters that he's had there, he has been taken down, averaging 0.4 takedowns in round number 1, 0.3 takedowns in round number 2 and 3, and then none in rounds 4 and 5. Does give up some control time as well. Has no sub attempts, has never seen a submission attempt or a reversal, so that's worth noting. Has seen 22 takedown attempts against. 6 of them have been successful. Chris Curtis does not shoot a takedown. Sean Strickland, the one goes 1 for 1 in takedown attempts in round 2. Got him down there. Joaquin Buckley, 0 for 2 in takedowns. Again, not a grappler. Shabazian goes 1 for 5 in takedowns. And then Phil Haas, 3 of 6 in takedowns against. 4 of 7 takedowns against for Phil Haas. So, again, some of these guys not grapplers, but able to get Imavov down to the ground. So, very curious to see how a Roman Dolidze fight plays out. So, here's what I'm thinking in terms of the tape here. So, we saw Roman Dolidze be able to switch stances, especially early in the tape, goes from orthodox to southpaw. I think Imavov was mostly orthodox there. So right away, I'm thinking about the leg kicks, and I'm thinking going back to Roman Dolidze. When he landed a bunch of leg kicks there. He has some hard leg kicks, and when he does throw them, they do land. And what I've noticed about from Nassourdine Imavov, wasn't really able to check many leg kicks. Does eat a bunch of them. I'm thinking back to the Trevin Giles fight. Roman Dolidze, if you watch that fight, landed a bunch of leg kicks early, 10 in round 1 against anybody that's going to slow somebody down. And so if Dolidze does choose to go leg kick heavy early, I think he can find some success. Honestly, if Imavov tries the same thing, he could find some success as well. So Dolidze not really catching or not really checking leg kicks as well. The only difference is that Dolidze can catch a leg kick and get the fight down to the ground, whereas Imavov probably doesn't want to do that. He'll have to sort of eat the leg kick. So on the feet, I do think Imavov has better hands. He's better. He's faster. He's quicker. He'll land probably the faster, cleaner strikes. But the problem is Dolidze has a granite chin. He's taken some big shots, never been knocked down. Imavov as well has not been knocked down, but I just think the chin on Dolidze keeps the fight standing, makes Imavov sort of have to fight a 5-round perfect game plan, staying on the outside sort of thing. I do see, and I have noticed outside of the leg kicks for Imavov not being able to check them, that's one weakness. The biggest glaring weakness for me is just Imavov's tendency to be able to get pushed back against the cage. Every single fight we see these guys pushing Imavov on the fence. Imavov not even looking to pummel for the underhooks. He's just getting controlled up against the fence. We've seen Dolidze do this to many fighters here. Push him against the fence. We've seen him somehow get the back, dunk under, get the head to the back, and then work the clinch on the back there. So I can see extended minutes where Dolidze is on the back, not necessarily getting the takedown, but against the clinch, in the clinch against the cage, maybe Imavov with a couple of knees on the ground, trying to get trying to wall walk his way back up, and Dolidze is sort of just wearing on him sort of early. So I can see minutes win being won from Dolidze, and then I think if it hits the ground, Dolidze is on another level for Imavov. Imavov again hasn't really been tested on the ground by high level grapplers, so I think Dolidze is going to be the biggest test on the ground for him, and it's just somewhat of an unknown. Imavov, one of those French kickboxers, has a one voice stance, light on his feet, trains with Cyril Gane, and we saw how Cyril Gane is on the ground there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Dolidze just blows him out of the water if it does hit the ground. On the feet, again, the Roman Dolidze chin keeps the fight competitive because, again, it's going to be hard for Imavov to get Dolidze out of there pretty early. So, again, I think if it does get to the ground, and I think if we go back and you watch the Roman Dolidze versus the Kyle Dawkins, the Phil Haas one, he does a really good job of, the Staropoli one was the biggest one. Go back and watch the Dolidze versus Staropoli. Staropoli really not able to get much offense off. And that was because every time Staropoli loaded up on that right hand, Dolidze was level changing, got the takedown or showed the takedown. So I can see that happening here against Imavov. It's a clear path to victory if he can get Imavov down to the ground. So I would assume that Dolidze would try to look to get down to the ground. If it does get to the ground, Imavov somehow on top, Dolidze is very busy on the bottom, always looking for legs, always looking for reversals and sweeps. So I don't think it's a good idea for Imavov to look for the takedown. I know that he can. I just don't think this is the matchup for him to do it. If he does get top control, I think that Dolidze can reverse him, get some top time as well. So I think it's going to be a clear path for Roman Dolidze on the ground. On the feet there, I think Roman Dolidze does throw with power when he sits down on his shots. So a knockout isn't out of the question as well. So let's get into the numbers. Okay, so I brought up my handy dandy tracker here. What I like to do is I like to go over all of the possible outcomes of the fight, assign a certain percentage to them, and it helps me decide what the best bets are and where the value is based on where the lines come out. So I put Roman Dolidze here in the blue corner, Nassourdine Imavov in the red corner, starting with Dolidze to win by TKO. Now remember, this is a 5-round fight. It is in the UFC Apex, so it's going to be the smaller cage. Really going to favor Dolidze here. So Dolidze to win by TKO. I do think it can come from ground and pound. We saw in the Hermansson fight, Dolidze attacking a leg, Hermansson trying to get that foot out, gets caught in a calf slicer, and then Dolidze finishing him by ground and pound there. Against the Dawkins fight, he landed a knee in the clinch, putting out Dawkins, and then following up with some ground and pound as well. And then the Phil Haas, he attacked the leg, twisted the leg a little bit to look like the leg was gone, and then on the feet, Phil Haas, a one-legged fighter, Dolidze able to put Phil Haas down. So Nassourdine Imavov never being knocked down is a concern, but again, this is a 5-round fight in a smaller cage. I'm going to leave it at about 15 to 20%. We'll stay with 15% now. I'm leaning towards 20%, but we'll leave it for 15, see where we end up. Roman Dolidze to win by submission. I do think that Roman Dolidze is probably the best grappler that Imavov has fought. I think there's a big skill difference here for Imavov on the ground. So if I have TKO at 15%, I'm going to have submission at least 20%, if not 25%. We'll leave it at 20% for now. Dolidze to win by decision. So in a 5-round fight, I do think it's possible. Again, Nassourdine Imavov has not been knocked out. Not really been finished as well, so I do think he can win a decision, but it is a 5-round fight, and that Dolidze has seemed to slow down, mouth breathing, into round 2 there. So I'm questioning rounds 4 and 5, but I think because of the clinching, the top control up against the fence, if it does go down to the ground, I think he should win that type. So to win by decision, I do think it's likely as well. So I'm going to leave it at 20%, see where we are at the end there. So Nassourdine Imavov to win by TKO. He's going to want to keep it on the feet, so he's going to want to win by TKO. Just from what I've seen from Dolidze, he can eat a big shot. So for Imavov to win by TKO, it's honestly going to have to probably come late in rounds 3, 4, 5 after the Dolidze starts to slow down. If I give Dolidze 15%, I think I have to give Imavov 15% as well. That sounds about right. Nassourdine Imavov to win by submission. I'm not going to say it's zero, but I do think it's unlikely. And the way that it does come, if anything, it would come from a front guillotine choke or a Darce choke. With Roman Dolidze shooting in, Nassourdine Imavov, one of his default takedown defenses is to go for that choke. So I do think it's possible. I'm going to leave it at 5%. I just don't think it's likely. Again, Dolidze being a high-level grappler there. And then Imavov to win by decision. That's probably his best path there as well. He's going to have to circle the outside, pop some leg kicks, pop some jabs, hope that Dolidze sort of slows down in the later rounds. So I can see that happening maybe about 20% of the time. So we'll leave it there. So looks like I am short 5%. I'm going to want to put it, let's see. TKO, submission, decision, yeah. Let's go Dolidze decision. You know what? I'll put that at decision there. So to recap then, I have Dolidze to win by TKO 15%, Dolidze to win by submission 20%, to win by decision 25%, Nassourdine Imavov to win by TKO 15%. Going back to Dolidze's side, it's a total money line of 60% or minus 115 or better, 35% to win inside the distance or plus 186 or better. Fight not to go. I'll go to the other side. Nassourdine Imavov to win by TKO 15%, plus 560 or better. Win by submission 1900 or 5%, 1900 or better, and win by decision plus 400 or better for a total money line of 40%. Or 150. Imavov to win inside the distance only 20% or plus 400. I do think that this fight ends not inside the distance more often than not at 55% or minus 122. Goes to decision at 45% or plus 122. So that's where I lean. I think I like the Roman Dolidze side to win. I just think he has more tools to win and more opportunities, throwing bigger power shots. I think the grappling edge is going to be pretty big. And just Imavov really hasn't been tested and proven on the ground. So I think if it gets there, Dolidze is a huge favorite there. On the feet, I don't like Imavov should be faster, be the better striker, should be able to pick him apart. Haven't really seen crazy good hands from Dolidze. We did see him try to really overextend and load up on the overhand right and the right hook. So if he does that, I think Imavov can sort of pick him apart on the feet. But again, I think the grappling edge is going to be different. The only thing that sort of prevents me from playing the Dolidze side pretty hard is the cardio concerns that I have. Maybe rounds 3, 4, and 5 for Imavov based on just Dolidze sorting to slow down. Not really a concern, just the way that body language, the lack of volume there, and we did see in the stats there, Imavov's his output greatly increases by round. So this is a concern as well for the Dolidze side that Imavov can really pick up as the rounds go on. Most of his output's coming in rounds 4 and 5 as well. So you sort of assume at that point that Dolidze is probably a little bit tired. And we talked about his grappling numbers. I want to highlight that again so that we go over it. Roman Dolidze's offensive grappling here. So his takedowns by round, right? He's finding good success there, averaging 0.5 in round 1, 0.5 takedowns in round successful in round 1, 0.8 successful, 1 in round 2. But you see this big drop off here in round 3. Averages 2 takedowns attempts in round 3, but only 0.3 successful. So as the rounds go on, if Dolidze can't get that takedown, then it's going to be Imavov standing there winning round 4 and 5. That would mean that Dolidze has to sort of wins rounds 1, 2, and 3. I think those rounds could be pretty close as well. So I can make a case for Imavov winning. I could see a case for a split decision. Dolidze winning the early rounds, Imavov winning the late rounds. Might be a great candidate for live betting if I'm honest. I think Imavov can pull away in the later rounds, especially if you see Dolidze trying to go for the takedown and not able to get it, and the fight has to stay on the feet, then I'd smash Imavov all day. But I am concerned with the takedowns and the takedown defense of Imavov and just what he looks like overall on the ground. So slight edge to the Dolidze. I don't really know where the line was at, so I haven't really looked it up. Let me see, fightodds.io. Let me see where the lines are before I let you guys go. Roman Dolidze plus 140. Yeah. So I do like him as the underdog. I thought it was flipped the other way. Dolidze going to be the slight favorite. I'm going to have to play that Dolidze side just based on the number. I have a minus 150. So plus 145, right? Is that what it was? Yeah, so I put the plus 145 here. I do have a minus 150. Kelly Criterion telling me to bet 4.1 units or 4.1% of the bankroll on the Roman Dolidze side. I will end up playing that side. I just don't know for how much yet, so we'll keep that into consideration. If I do make a play, I'll make it a play and I'll let our patrons know at patreon.com/FightingStats. That's where I post all of our best bets and these breakdowns. You won't want to miss it. So if I do make a play or the props come out and I see something juicy, I will let you know right away at patreon.com/FightingStats. So I hope you found something useful in that breakdown. I think that's where it goes. I think Dolidze is probably the side, just more tools to win. Imavov, the smaller cage is probably going to favor Dolidze as well. Imavov, not a lot of room to circle on the outside. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We'll see where the lines open up. But I like that side. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree, where I'm missing or what I might be not considering. Again, my name is Artsy. This is Fighting Stats. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know below how I did. Thanks. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this type of content, make sure you smash the like button, hit the subscribe. You'll get notified anytime we put out new content. Listen to this. We just hit a massive parlay for $29,000 at UFC 297. That is one UFC after 296 where we hit a parlay for $82,000. That's back-to-back parlays. We've made $110,000. And how do we do it? We use our exclusive fighting stats, not available anywhere else. Our exclusive fighting stats gives us information, gives us a big edge over the sportsbooks, and tell us what's going to happen within the fights. We post all that information, our breakdowns, our best bets, over at patreon.com/fighting stats. Don't miss out. Make sure you subscribe today. Again, my name is Art C. This is Fighting Stats. Thanks for watching.